They told you strength after 70 comes in tubs and scoops, that the answer is a barcode and a promise on a glossy label, that the only way to fight muscle loss is to mix, shake, and hope. But week after week, in living rooms and kitchens and quiet rehab rooms, I kept watching something far more ordinary and far more powerful happen. People who had given up on their legs, who took the elevator for a single floor, who gripped the railing before they dared to stand, started changing the way they ate, with foods that cost less than a bus fare. And their bodies answered as if they had been waiting for this simplicity all along. The truth is not that your muscles need more protein. The truth is that your muscles need usable protein. Protein that arrives with the enzymes, minerals, and cofactors that tell an aging digestive system this is for you. Protein that stays long enough to be absorbed and partnered with circulation, sleep, and breath. There's no billboard for that. There's just your grocery list, a few dollars, and a plan. Today, we're going to rebuild that plan from the ground up with 6 $1 foods that outperform big-ticket powders for seniors, not because they shout louder, but because they work with the way a 70-plus body actually heals. Slower gastric emptying, higher protein resistance, lower stomach acid, more inflammation to quiet, more balance to regain. Each food comes with a method and a moment, how to prepare it so it digests cleanly, and when to eat it so your muscles keep building long after the plate is empty. Stay through number 3. It's the pantry staple almost no one respects that turns lunch into a 3-hour trickle of amino acids and flips the gut-muscle axis back on. And yes, as always, talk to your clinician if you've got medical restrictions. This is education, not diagnosis. But if you're ready to swap $60 scoops for $1 solutions, let's begin. Number 6. Plain Greek yogurt. In a world obsessed with fast, Greek yogurt is quietly slow, and that's exactly why it wins for older adults. Casein is its signature, an unhurried protein that feeds muscle for 6 to 7 hours, the opposite of the spike and crash response you get from many shakes. Pair that with leucine levels high enough to nudge stubborn mTOR pathways and live cultures that make protein absorbable, and you have a food that does what powders can't. It prepares your gut to receive what your muscles need. The protocol is simple and precise. Let 3/4 of a cup sit on the counter for 10 minutes so the cultures wake up. Stir in a spoon of honey and a handful of berries. Eat it 30 minutes before your largest meal, so digestion is primed and insulin escorts amino acids into muscle instead of letting them idle in the bloodstream. On training days, or even after a purposeful walk, layer it into a parfait with crushed walnuts and half a banana, and you've built a slow-release recovery system that costs less than a cup of coffee and lasts until evening. Number 5. Canned sardines. This is where frugality meets biochemistry. For $1 and change, you get complete protein, intact omega-3s, vitamin D, and soft bones that deliver highly available calcium. But the secret most people miss is timing and texture. Mash the sardines with half an avocado, lemon, and a touch of mustard. Spread on whole grain crackers so carbohydrate, fat, and protein arrive together, and the insulin rise is steady, not a spike that crashes you, but a nudge that opens the door for amino acids. Eat it within 2 hours of movement, even if the movement is gardening or a walk to the mailbox. The post-activity window is when muscles are most insulin-sensitive and the omega-3s tamp down the inflammation that block protein from being used. If taste is the hurdle, capers and hot sauce erase the fishy note while preserving everything that matters. Powder can't give you vitamin D, calcium, and EPA and DHA in a single mouthful. This can. Number 4. Whole eggs. For years, the yolk was villainized, and with it we almost lost one of the senior-friendly foods on Earth. The yolk carries vitamin D, choline, phosphatidic acid, and fats that slow gastric emptying, so the protein in the white is actually used. Cook them soft, poached, or 6-minute boiled, so heat-sensitive compounds survive. and plate them with tomatoes or peppers so vitamin C improves iron uptake from the yolk and oxygen delivery to working muscle. Make this a morning ritual within 30 minutes of waking to capitalize on the body's natural anabolic rhythm, and watch how the rest of the day feels steadier. 3 eggs plus sautéed spinach on a slice of sprouted bread yields a complete amino profile, nitrates for blood flow, and a breakfast that outperforms a shake because it was designed by biology, not marketing. Here's the curveball. Beans don't just feed you, they feed the microbes that lower inflammation and increase insulin sensitivity. And those two changes determine whether protein becomes muscle or waste. Start with dried beans. Soak them overnight with a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar to dismantle phytates. Then cook with bay leaf, onion, and cumin so older stomachs tolerate them easily. At lunch, when cortisol dips and the nervous system relaxes, build a bowl that's half mashed beans, half whole beans, and an equal measure of brown rice. That 1-to-1 mix forms a complete protein, and because the fiber slows transit, amino acids trickle into the bloodstream for hours. Finish with lime and cilantro. Vitamin C boosts iron absorption up to 4-fold, and iron fuels myoglobin, the oxygen reserve inside muscle that keeps your steps from feeling heavy by late afternoon. Beans cost coins, but the payoff is expensive. Steadier energy, fuller muscles, fewer cravings to raid the pantry at 9 p.m. Number 2. Cottage cheese. Think of this as the night shift, 1 cup before bed, full fat if you tolerate dairy, stirred with a tablespoon of freshly ground flax and a handful of berries. Casein lays down the slow drip of amino acids your body needs during sleep, flax adds ALA to calm microinflammation, and the natural sugars help amino acids actually cross into tissue instead of circulating uselessly. Let the cottage cheese warm for 15 minutes on the counter so older stomachs don't have to waste acid bringing it to temperature. And if nighttime stiffness is your enemy, add a spoon of crushed pineapple. Bromelain's proteolytic enzymes gently help digestion and reduce soreness by morning. This is anti-catabolism disguised as dessert. While powders peak and fade, this carries you through the hours when growth hormone pulses and repair is supposed to happen. Number 1. Lentils. Cheap, fast, forgiving, and, when you treat them right, shockingly anabolic for seniors. Rinse and sprout for 48 hours in a sieve you keep moist. That single step increases accessible protein, reduces anti-nutrients, and flips on enzyme systems that older guts appreciate. Simmer the sprouted lentils in bone broth with turmeric and black pepper. Collagen rounds out the amino profile, curcumin quiets the inflammation that steals your gains, and piperine multiplies curcumin's bioavailability. Serve with a side of quinoa in a 2-to-1 ratio so no essential amino acid is left behind, and finish with garlic and sautéed onions for sulfur compounds that support glutathione, the antioxidant shield your muscles need when you're rebuilding after decades of wear. Make this your primary lunch protein 4 days a week and rotate the others on the remaining days. Consistency matters more than novelty. And your mitochondria, the engines inside your fibers, respond to rhythm. Put these 6 together and you don't get a diet, you get a system. Morning eggs to switch on synthesis, a pre-meal Greek yogurt to prepare the gut, a sardine snack to leverage the movement you've already done, a black bean lunch that releases protein like an IV drip, a cottage cheese nightcap that protects the hours powders abandon, and lentils anchoring the week so your muscles never go hungry for building blocks again. You'll notice the theme. Almost nothing is swallowed alone. Protein arrives with fats that slow, acids that help absorption, minerals that contract the muscle once it's built, and timing that respects an older body's clock. That's why the price tag is tiny and the result is big, because we stopped buying isolated pieces and started using whole signals. If you take medications that interact with vitamin K, manage kidney disease, or have specific dairy or fish restrictions, loop your clinician into the plan before you switch. Personalization is power at this age. For everyone else, the invitation is simple. Pick one of these foods today and deploy it with the method and timing that fits your life. Tomorrow, stack a second. In a week, you won't be chasing powders. You'll be climbing stairs with a hand on the rail for balance, not for survival, and your grocery receipt will read like a training plan instead of a bill. If this opened your eyes to how far a single dollar can go when it's aligned with biology, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss what's next. In the comments, tell me the one cheap food you're committing to this week, because I read every story because your progress becomes someone else's proof that it's not too late. Your muscles aren't done. They were waiting for the message. Now they have it. Build.